I've just started the recording, so obviously there'll be people who aren't able to join us this afternoon, and they'll be able to watch the recording. So we're delighted to be joined by various colleagues from Woolman, who are digital marketing experts, and I'm going to hand you over now to Mikko, who will take us through some of the basics of digital marketing and search engine optimization.
Great, very good to meet you all. So my name is Mikko. My current position is Chief Evangelist at Woolman, and we are helping individual brands to succeed. And I have some colleagues with me here today, and they will cover different topics. There's one colleague looking at SEO. I will talk more about the digital marketing to get up like warmed up, what is the entire topic and what we have seen with our customers. We have been helping over 200 customers in 5 years, and quite many of those are purpose driven. So there is some kind of a purpose behind there, and I will showcase you one actual case today so that it's easier for you to think that, okay, in my case, how would I actually do this? Or you can always think about your personal case. What can I learn from this? After every single format, you will have roughly 5 minutes to ask questions from our specialists. And Tiia here is also looking at the chat window. So feel free to ask any questions, ask us, or have some kind of a debate. So we want to get you active as well. I will stop my presentation in a few moments and always ask that if you want to fill in or if you have any questions. So feel free to also raise your hand if you want to comment anything here. Are we ready to start? Great. So let's talk about Woolman for a tiny moment. So Woolman is actually one of the biggest D2C agencies on the planet. We are a Shopify Plus partner, and we have been in business for roughly 5 years. And what does D2C mean? D2C means a brand that is selling directly to customers. So our job is to make sure that our customers would be growing, and our task is to be on the same side of the table as our customers are. Quite many of us are former online merchants or former entrepreneurs who have already done that journey. I'm myself a merchant. I did that twice. I was selling baby boxes to more than 100 countries online, a very purpose-driven business, because our goal was to make sure that new parents would get a safe place for their baby to sleep, and also some things which could ease their pain. And Tiia, again here, who is helping, was also a purpose-driven Shopify Plus merchant. We have roughly helped today up to 350 plus brands. We have more than 100 employees working at the very moment in 7 European countries. So we have offices in London, Amsterdam, Stockholm, Helsinki, but our employees are all across Europe, and we are serving our customers globally. We have developed 18 custom apps, which means that if you are running a Shopify store, apps are providing you additional benefits. So we help our customers within everything what it has to take to be a successful brand, whether you're selling directly online, offline, both, or also via marketplaces such as eBay. So our thing is to look at the big picture and help our brands to grow. The goal is to become even more sustainable. The goal is to make sure that we are stronger with data. So those are actually 2 very strong topics we have pointed out, and we are now developing the agency. By 2025, we are AI driven with our data platform called Alice, and we are also helping our sustainable brands to have a better future and grow in a profitable way, yet being as sustainable as possible. So these are some of the takes that we have decided to take, and now doing lots of changes in our actions to make sure that we would follow our own dream. Our goal is to make sure that our customers are happy, growing, and getting more and more global and getting the traction that they truly deserve. If we look at our services, what do we currently offer? We offer D2C services, so typically projects. We start with new stores or we develop those stores further, but we also have an inbuilt growth team which includes the specialists you will meet today. So they are typically helping with paid marketing, content, SEO, Shopify apps, and everything that you need to make sure that you are successful. Then we also offer a D2C platform, so a data-driven platform for slightly stronger and larger brands, typically that you are selling £1 million plus. Then you definitely need a place where you check all the data. So there we have developed LS, we have developed apps, and we are helping with all the analytics stuff. And then finally, we are also offering sort of like analytics services, so our expertise and consultation. Once we have done so many customer cases, we have sort of like recognized certain patterns, and now we can share our knowledge to make sure that we are truly providing our customers value. Great. Then about the digital marketing side. So I'm myself, Mikko. I've been in e-commerce roughly 15 years already. I've helped plus 200 brands past 4.5 years. I have been a Shopify Plus merchant twice for 2 different cases. And I have participated in multiple purpose-driven businesses in terms of a consultant, but personally, I've been involved heavily now in 2 separate cases. And today you will hear one, how they are doing the digital customer acquisition there, how they are like nailing it in digital marketing. And I'll give you certain advices to do, what not to do, what are the typical pitfalls as we see it, and hopefully helping you forward with all of the digital marketing that you do. My number 1 take here would be how to acquire new customers with a purpose. So typically when I meet with my customer for the very first time, I ask them a question, why do you exist? If that isn't all clear, then you don't have a story to tell, and then the odds that you will succeed are roughly very unlikely. So my number 1 question here is that why do you exist? So there should be this kind of a customer promise that should be on the very top of your online page or your web store, that why do you exist? What's your value proposition? So that's the number 1 thing that I'm always looking at when talking about a new brand, trying to build and succeed. And then also what I want to point out here, that's also an angle for your marketing. So that's a very typical good way if you are doing whether organic posts or whether you are trying to do paid marketing and scale it up. Why do you exist? What is the reason to purchase from you? Why you from 100 other brands? Why to choose you? And typically when we start with our customers, we are thinking about like 3 of these traditional USPs, so unique selling propositions. What are the reasons someone would buy from me? And I'm super transparent here. It's unlikely to be that you are purpose-driven. That's a bonus, but there must be other reasons. They are typically somehow linked with your product, your brand, your story, your unique offering, your packaging, other things that are related there. So that's typically a reason why someone would purchase from you. And if that is crystal clear, then you can use that both on site and then in your digital marketing and your ads. And then the second question, of course, is that why would someone return? Why would someone return and purchase from you again? So those are the basic questions we typically start with. And then another topic here is that can you estimate your customer acquisition cost, so CAC? So how much marketing cost you are putting together and how many new customers you are gaining. This is a basic calculation I typically start with my customers with, that I ask them the question that, are you aware of what is your customer acquisition cost? And if not, you can then learn it here. So as example, I would put like £1,000 to Google ads and Facebook ads, and I gain 10 customers for that. So then I can very easily calculate what is so-called of like customer acquisition cost per every single customer. Then the question is that, can I afford it? Or what's the channel and how should I optimize my customer acquisition cost? So 2 very important topics, USPs, customer acquisition cost. And then lastly, what is sort of like your brand face? So I've seen thousands and thousands of brands and logos and all of that. And typically I remember only very few. So how to make sure that you will stand out from the crowd? What makes you so special that everybody remembers you? So I'm always like challenging my customers that, okay, that when you are doing digital marketing, you have to have your logo in place, you have to have your like physical life in place, but what is the face you are providing? And from that link, you can see few really nice case examples what others have done. So you can probably then take that, hey, should I do this, or how should I adjust my logo, or if I don't even have a logo, what to do then? So 3 important takes from here. These are the very starting points before actually doing some digital marketing, and especially trying with the paid acquisitions. Here I will talk about Kaiko. It's a purpose-driven fashion brand. Fashion with a mission has been sort of their like main USP. I started to help the company roughly 4 years ago, and they were very small. They had just started. Very nice prints for toddlers, Nordic design, and they were a bit like lost that, okay, how to drive this business. They had a goal. They want to help ladies in Nepal, and they want to pay them like sufficient pay which they deserve and make it transparent that fashion has to change. So this was the very starting point. But then they were a bit like lost that how to really make this happen. Should I spend to digital marketing? Should I do PR? What should I do? How to find my customers? And they already had like few hundred customers, and the customer mass was growing all the time. So by the time when we met for the first time, they had roughly like 3,000 customers. Yet on the scale, they were still like really small. And then they were asking that, okay, hey, what can you help us with? Where should we get started? And we did a quick analysis on their customers, and we noticed that, okay, quite many of their customers were roughly like 25, 35 years old. They were using lots of social media, especially Instagram. Instagram stories was a really hot and new thing back in those days. So then we decided that we will start with like Instagram marketing, targeted marketing at customers who remind of their existing customers. So that was the very starting point where we started. And then we just like started to scale it up from there. It was not an easy journey. They were a bit like lost with the whole social media thing. They were very inexperienced, and they were like worrying that if I spend lots to digital marketing, will I just like lose money? Is it a hoax? What will happen? And that's very typical. And I see that a lot, especially with new customers who are starting from small. So what they did sort of differently when it comes to many other brands is that they started to use their stories as their benefit. So one of them is that their founder, Miriam, is a very strong lady. She has strong opinions. She wants to share the story. So they started that since the very beginning, they did point out their own employees, their view on the brand, why they are different, why you should choose us, why should you pay 60 euros for a kid's body instead of 40 euros or 30 euros, what makes it so special, and why should you believe in us? So they use their own story, and then they use their customer stories there to make it like as authentic as possible. So probably like the number one thing to do, that if you have great customer stories, if you can use the images, videos, all of that, please do. It makes it feel that you're not purchasing from a major corporate brand, but you're purchasing from a brand that has like true values according to yours. And then the other one was that they did do very simple marketing, but with strong words, strong big words that are sort of like standing out. And that's the thing that they have been keep doing this, even though they have changed, they have grown. They are now offering items for not only for kids, but also for ladies, and home items, home decor items. So what they have try to do is to be unique, stand out of the crowd, make sure that their stories are strong in all of their advertising. And typically when you look at their advertising here, you can't see that much that they are purpose driven. That happens only on site. So maybe also you that if you have your purpose there, what is the right time to tell it? In what way should you do that? So that you are not just like writing here 50 sentences and then waiting that someone will click it. You're first like playing around with your great items, great patterns, and then only on site trying to support them that this is the great item. And by the way, we are doing this for a purpose, and you know the purpose. Do you want to support us instead of another brand? So perhaps few takeaways from here as well. These days, they are advertising on multiple different platforms, mainly still on Facebook and Instagram. Instagram is their strongest. They are doing lots of organic stuff there, but they are still running like lots of paid advertisement there, as they have noticed that in their customer segment, you need to advertise and stay top of the mind, which then means that you need to do that retargeting advertising and run that all the time, that you can't rely solely on campaigns, but you need to do that like 365 days a year. And this is actually like working very well for them. Now they are exploring also TikTok, and they have done some Google shopping as well. So those are currently the platforms they are utilizing to make most out of their sales and spread the word. I thought that it would be interesting to see that what are the top 5 lessons and learnings after like roughly 4 years. So in this Kaiko's case, like number 1 is that people love to hear a short story. Short, not a long one. Long stories might be boring, they are tough. So please try to be super short. It's a sentence, 2 sentences, a question, something that is short, which is like interesting, slightly perhaps different, and then just chew it and try it out. And you can also try like 2 or 3 separate stories and 2 or 3 separate versions, sort of to do that like in a growth hacking way, that you are trying different angles and then to find a sweet spot and then go with that. So those are sort of like lessons we learned with Kaiko. Then the second one is that people want to see a clear customer promise on the top of your online store. So what is this store providing? When I started at Woolman, we analyzed more than 100 D2C brands and asked their end consumers that why have you left the store and why didn't you purchase? And the number 1 reason was that I don't understand what they are trying to do here. Is this an online store? What is the story? Why should I stay there? I know it sounds like a dummy thing, but the information you have on the top of your homepage and the top of your store is super crucial. You have to explain why do you exist, why do you offer, why should a person keep spending more time there. The majority of online store sessions are like less than 6 seconds long. And if you haven't been able to tell them in 6 seconds why a person should stay there, they will most likely leave. And then I look very deep into the eyes of my customers and they will never, ever return. So make sure that if you are doing paid marketing, if you're doing organic marketing, if you are leading customers to your online store, that you have to be very on point on the very top of your landing page where you're taking the customers, typically your front page. Like the funny one, that if your goods are something that you wear or put in your mouth, it's always better to see real human beings consuming your products. So if you are taking new shots and if you are doing videos, whatever content you are doing, either if you are doing it for a marketplace or if you are doing it for your online store and marketing, please make sure that your products are being consumed. It's much warmer to see a person to eat that chocolate bar than just a photo of the chocolate bar. It's sort of like for human beings, it seems that it will convert better. People are more likely to purchase a chocolate bar that is in someone's hand or in someone's mouth and someone who is laughing and having a good time than just the product image. So this is also a learning which we've seen many, many times, especially when it comes to the marketing. So if you're doing marketing ads, videos, all that stuff, make sure that the item is being consumed and that you can see real human beings use it. And in most cases, that if you're in fashion, then that you will see the item being worn by different types of persons, different backgrounds, different heights, different product body types, and so on. Then that's more likely to convert. Number 4, our basic recommendation is to collect some kind of product reviews. Use them in your store. There are great applications such as Yotpo for Shopify merchants there, but you don't necessarily even need to have a product review app in place to collect those reviews. It can be a questionnaire that you send out. As example, Google Forms is a very easy and fast way to do it, that you can collect that true data from your customers who are happy with your products, and make sure to use that in your marketing. And then the question typically here is that, okay, I get tons of reviews, some are good, some are bad, some are super long. So please cut them short, use the ones that you truly need to use and feel comfortable with it. And it's okay that not all the reviews are perfect. That makes you more human. That if you would have just like 5-star reviews, 10,000, then it's like, okay, this is even like a bit suspicious. So also that kind of a transparency can be in your benefit in the long run. And then our last lesson with this Kaiko case when it comes to digital marketing, keep publishing something new every week, every month, reason to keep revisiting. So this happens that on your Instagram profile, you should have new stuff, your Facebook page, if you have one, you should keep posting stuff, but also in the store. So on the front page of the store, when it comes to collections and that stuff. So if you have your own store, please keep updating it. I see tons of cases where it's like, okay, yeah, the front page looks exactly the same than in 2018. It's a while back. Now it's time to update and make sure that you're fresh. So that's also something that I truly can recommend. I know that it feels somewhat like painful that, okay, it takes a bit time and it's like tough and so on. But those who actually keep visiting your store, especially if you have like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of visitors or more, then it's super important to stay relevant and update at least the content side in your store. Well, what about the pitfalls then? What not to do? If those were the things that you should probably like test in your digital marketing, whether it's organic or paid, find your strong channels. Try to educate yourself so that you would know your customers. Are they male, female, what age, what location? Why are they purchasing from you? And from there, you can then start to try out different channels. I was talking to a British small entrepreneur who is doing upcycling a few weeks ago, and she's really successful. She's already like grown the business, and she's like, okay, I was trying all of these channels, but for some reason, TikTok just like is the best channel for me. So she was doing exactly the right thing. She was testing different channels and trying to find the sweet spot. She's not doing any paid marketing. She's like truly organic. So she then found out that TikTok was the best channel for her. She had been doing lots of Pinterest stuff, but that had not been too successful in her case. So she was then like keen to try others, and now found out that TikTok was the best channel. And now it's working so well that she is now investing small money in the TikTok paid advertising as well. So it's like a few £100 here and there, but she could immediately see a major sales spike. So definitely worked in her case. We also hear lots of feedback regarding like Facebook, that is it just for the older folks? Is Facebook gone? No. Based on data and what we see in many markets, especially in the UK, quite many are still using Facebook due to some functionalities there. It can be that I'm a part of a Facebook group, or I still have some friends which are in my messengers and I'm using that. So please try to be open, try to A/B test them so that you do content for 2 platforms at least, and then see the one that is working for you. And then you can focus more on there. And then there are also other channels than Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, TikTok, and Google. So you can also try to explore some channels or new ways of getting customers in. My take in every case is that you can do organic marketing, so which is free for you. It's typically like product posts, stories, and all of that. My only recommendation there is that make sure that you always include a link to your web store or the landing page where you want them to go. So that don't forget that. That's essential. And if you want to be a professional, then use UTM codes. If you don't know what UTM codes are, I will shortly write that in the chat window to make sure that you can track all of the traffic that comes in your own store. Your products must be spot on. That's a very good starting point. So I've seen like multiple purpose-driven businesses trying to do really good results in D2C, but then the struggle is that they haven't really like thought it through, that they have a good story, they have a good cause, but the products aren't quite there yet. So in my recommendation that in many cases, we then go live with just few products where we have really been thinking through that what we are trying to sell. We have probably done a very light market study that where would be demand. As example in chocolate, that is it good to do like normal milk chocolate? Probably not. But if you would have some kind of an angle in there, as example, like different type of chocolate, gluten-free chocolate, vegan and gluten-free chocolate that is actually including these ingredients, then you can be really like nailing it. So if you have the possibility to concentrate somewhere, it might be a wise thing to do if you are in an environment where there is extremely tough competition. So that's also something that has more to do with the products and your offering. So my basic recommendation is that make sure that you are only selling items that work. And if you get then like direct feedback from the customers that this product is awesome, but I didn't like the others so much, so then try to steer it to that direction, that you must have those few golden nuggets there. They typically build the business, and then you can of course like start to develop more as well. My basic recommendation is that only invest in things which you can show a profit. So you can use, if you are running on a Shopify Analytics or Google Analytics in your store, if that is being installed, to have some kind of a transparency that where I'm putting my marketing pounds, do I get a return on investment? And if I'm doing any organic marketing, where my store traffic is coming from and who is likely to purchase from me. Also, these marketplaces have pretty good analytics, but it's a bit more tough to see that where the actual sales are coming from and which of my marketing actions lead to direct purchases. My last advice here would be that find a brand you want to follow. So a brand that you love, it can be from the same business and environment where you are at, or it can be something completely else, but a brand that you want to follow for a time series. You want to subscribe to their emails, you want to see that what kind of ads they are running and so on, and then follow carefully what they do or what they have done. I will send you in a heartbeat to the chat window a few advices, what I typically do myself when I'm in the starting point, that if I would have a business, what would I like to follow? So I will hand you out 3 additional advice to the chat windows when I will finish with my turn. Great. Any questions regarding paid marketing, Kaiko story, A/B testing, and that basic stuff?
Francesco, you've got your hand up.
Hi, Joanna. Hi, Mikko. Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for your witness here. I would just ask and clarify something related to what you said related to avoid pitfalls. When you talk about, invest in tools that show a profit. When we talk about profit, we can also, in our cases, based on the experience that I had, with the sellers, we are also talking about impressions and the conversion of those in sales. I would say you can consider a huge amount of impressions also a profit in this case.
Totally. It's about like how do you track the sales and what kind of model you have. The most thing is that typically from the very starting point is that you want to have like lots of impressions, which means that you would have like lots of reads. People are interested in you and your products. And then the next steps are that what's actually happening in the store. Are people adding you to the cart, or are they thinking that might be too expensive, maybe not for me or whatever. And then what happens like the next step when you add to cart and purchase and then hopefully return. So my typical advice there would be to sort of like draw the customer journey in your case. Where are you selling the items? What are the basic goals you want to achieve? What happens after the purchase? And then what do you try to do to make sure that that person would return? And then when you have drawn that customer journey, also try to think that how would I like to communicate with those potential customers again. And if you can learn something from the existing customers, that's typically like very, very, very useful. But as you pointed out, yes, impressions is the very first like starting point. People are interested in you so much that they want to find out more.
Perfect. So next time, please add the promoted listing analytics in your examples.
We have a question from Emilio in the chat, just wondering how this is going to help selling in eBay. He's saying it doesn't have any connection with the Google search engine and it's to do with the platform. Is that something you can sort of cover now, or is it something that maybe we'll be covering later?
Yes, we'll get to that part like later on. What is the SEO part, and how do you like build visibility there? So we definitely will continue with that. Probably like quite many of you are selling on multiple places. You are selling on your own web store, and then quite many of you are selling on eBay. And eBay is like great for visibility, that you want to have those keywords where you are strong, and you want to make sure that you have those on the product card. And that's the place where I would start with. And then of course you want to make sure that your profile on eBay is something that is good. It makes sure that people also understand there is the value promise and value proposition, that why should I buy from you? But quite many of you are also selling directly with your own stores, not all, but some are. So for those, it's important that you include that to the own side as well.
Great. We've got 3 people with hands up, so we'll go to Chris first.
Oh, to me, sorry. Was it?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, interested in the customer acquisition costs. I mean, I only sell on eBay. We've just set up a Shopify shop, paid someone £18,000 to set up a Shopify shop for us, really as a contingency plan for when we get banned on eBay. But the budget that they gave us for what we needed to do after that was just silly, really. So customer acquisition costs on eBay, if I've got it, is, for me, I sell well more than £1 million a year, about 10%. So let's say it's £100,000 a year, and I sell to 80,000 customers. So it works out about £1.25 a customer on my eBay platform, which is like the only thing I sell on. So I'm wondering, is there a benchmark for a customer acquisition cost?
Really good question. So it depends how you pretty much like build a case. It might be that in your case, eBay is working really well, that you get like lots of traction from there, lots of sales from there. And it seems that the customer acquisition on eBay is rather low. Now, the number one question is that, are you doing any additional marketing for eBay? Are you doing any paid advertisements on Google, on Facebook for your eBay store? Or is that just like the business is rolling on eBay and people just find you from there? So are you currently doing any paid marketing for your eBay listing?
No.
Okay, great. So then your customer acquisition cost on eBay is rather low. Sounds really good. And how much are you paying for eBay for every single order? What's the thing that you need to pay eBay?
Well, on this program, everybody pays half fees. So okay, it varies from category to category. Not everybody will be paying the same, but let's say that is 6%. We sell heavily on promoted listings. Yep. Typically about 2.5% to 3%. Yeah, and that is it.
Yep.
So it does work out literally about £1.25 a customer.
Yep. So that's currently sort of like your average customer acquisition cost on eBay. And in your case, it sounds like it's on a very reasonable level, but with some other cases, it might be a bit higher than that, depending on how much people are buying from you. And then when you are doing something directly on Shopify, you can do that for other markets, or that you have different items there. Then you need to just calculate together all of the marketing efforts you are doing for that Shopify store. It also can be done so that I've seen many cases where you are not putting any pennies to pay that acquisition, and people find you for other reasons, such as you are doing some stuff with influencers, you are paying them to share the booths, or you are doing something with some bloggers or some other parties who are like promoting you. And then those costs need to be included in the customer acquisition cost. So customer acquisition costs are all the costs that you need to pay to get someone to purchase from you. And on a marketplace such as eBay, including all the fees that you need to pay for eBay.
I don't want to hog the meeting, but with the guys that built our website, we didn't fall out, but we couldn't make the next step because I was looking for a digital marketer who would be prepared to work on the eBay basis. So no upfront fees, but for a percentage of the sales that they drive to our Shopify site. So in other words, they share the risk. Do such people exist?
Such people do exist, but it's good to like double check that who would be the perfect partner for you and who would be ready to pursue that thing. I know that we have done some cases in the past like that, but that's not typically the business model marketing agencies or Shopify agencies work. So it's like case specific, and I think that it's a good discussion that you could have with Tiia, who is here. So Tiia, please could you raise your hand or write something to the chat window, and Tiia could get back to you, and you could have a really good discussion on that.
Yep, here to help.
Lovely. Next one.
So Lucia, you're next on the list.
Yes, hi. Thank you so much for the presentation. It was very useful to me. I have a question about, regarding Facebook ads. I have very nervously just started testing our Facebook ads. We have created at the moment 4 ad sets. And my question would be, how long should I wait to start tweaking and changing the ads? So what kind of signal I should look for in order to start changing them and tweaking them? And also, when do you think it would be best for me starting testing by increasing the daily budget? Thank you.
No worries, love the question. I spent lots of money on Facebook, so my typical basic rule of thumb is that every ad set should have like £5 or £10, depending on the budget, and you should run every single ad set for 12 to 14 days before doing any changes, so that let the algorithm to learn, and only after that then try to do some changes. And there you should be able to see that some are working better than the others. So I would give them some time, typically that 12-14 days. And after that, I would start to implement changes. The typical mistake people here do is that they do changes instantly. It didn't bring me money today, I need to change everything. And then the second also is that you are overspending money. Let's put like £500 here, and oops, it went in a day. So rather a smaller budget, longer time frame, and wait them to optimize. And only after that 12-14 days do some changes there. Then you have given them enough time to optimize so that Facebook can learn to whom those ads should be presented, and you have collected enough data before doing the changes.
Perfect, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Next one.
Great question. So Kat, you're next. It looks like muted. I don't know if that's accidental. I think we're struggling. Shall we move on to Lucio?
Thank you very much. Hello, can I?
Yes, yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. And we agree entirely on, in terms of the customer acquisition costs. One of the questions is sort of going back to what Chris, or echoing what Chris was saying. It's a bit difficult when you talk to SEO companies and so on. Quite often the opening line is you'll be top of the Google page, search, and quite often the words are very narrow and very well defined, so specific that yes, you are first for that search, but it's highly unlikely that it's made a specific search, or pay-per-click, which is sort of again what they tend to focus on. But Oliver and I were talking about this morning, and in a way, yes, impressions are important, but we don't want just people looking at our website, we want to buy on the website. So we have found in the past, and then you end up locked into a contract that might be 6 months or 3 months or 30 days, whatever is the notice period. And once you made sort of the investment, then you look and say, well, it's costing me perhaps 40% or 50% of my margins, which is ridiculous. It's not, So are there companies who work on slightly different basis, or what should we look at? Because again, what we get as proposition tend to be the pay-per-click. So any insight on that would be helpful.
Yes, a really good question. You actually had like 3 different questions there. I tried to answer to every single one. So number one thing is that if you are selling on a marketplace, that's slightly different than selling directly, as example with Shopify. So the benefit of a marketplace is that you typically get like lots of traffic there. And if you are selling items that are good, and if the marketplace such as eBay is willing to promote you, it might sound like very good way of doing business. You get some volume from there. So in that case, when you are doing marketing for a eBay listing, you can't quite track what's happening, how many sales can you directly get, how many conversions you can directly get. So then the question is that you would probably or most likely need to do that in some other way to get that information from the final customers. I know, as example, many companies who are doing that when they have some physical events, they are doing trade shows, trade fairs, all that stuff. And then they are asking that, have you already purchased from us? Yeah, I bought from you on eBay. Okay, where did you learn about me? Was it like Google? Was it Facebook? Was it something else? So you try to get that directly from the end consumers. That's one way of doing it. If you are selling then again, like also directly with that example, a Shopify store, you can easily install an app that is, as example, a post-purchase survey where you ask directly after the purchase, why did you buy from me? Was it because of that Facebook ad, Instagram ad, Google, or that I'm already existing on eBay? As example, those could be the options. And then you collect that data. So it's much more easier to understand when the customers themselves are informing you that why did they purchase. Then you can hopefully more easily concentrate on a certain digital marketing channel when you have that kind of a feeling that, okay, this is now the truthful information I do have. But I'm also helping like billion-dollar businesses, and they all are struggling with the same fact that which is the better channel. And then of course these channels are already like changing all over the time. So it might be that in July TikTok was the best channel for my segment, and now it seems to be Instagram stories, or now it's really good SEO done on my marketplace. But the basic question here is that if you can come up with ways how you could ask directly from your end consumers, where did they learn about you? Why did they purchase from you? That's the fruitful information you're looking for. And there are ways how even like marketplace sellers can do that. So that would be my basic recommendation here.
That's great.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that was the last of the hands up. So yeah, ready to move on now.
Lovely. I will still add some information to the chat window once the next person is joining. Jenni, please.
Thank you, Mikko. I try to be quick. We don't have much time. But hello, everyone. My name is Jenni and I'm the SEO content specialist here at Woolman. So my job is to help brands gain better visibility and higher rankings on Google with SEO and content. I also focus on user experience or UX, which is also a major SEO ranking factor nowadays. And I have a special affinity towards sustainability, circular economy, and fair working conditions, especially in the fashion industry. I think we can skip the next slide and go directly to why SEO is so important. So if we look at all online experiences, 90% of them start with a query and is on a search engine. What that means in numbers is that there are 3.5 billion searches made daily on just Google alone. So the other search engines like Yahoo or Yandex or Bing are not even included in this number. And if you're lucky to be on that first page on Google or the first page in the SERPs or search engine result pages, you're really lucky, because that first page gets over 95% of all the search traffic. So pages 2, 3, 4, 5, those get to share the rest 5%. So being on that first page in Google should be the goal if you want to get more traffic online. But how do we get there? And next slide, please. Oh yeah, let's first talk about Google Ads. So why, maybe some of you might ask, okay, if the goal is to be on the first page, why not just pay for Google Ads and be on the top first position? Well, according to organic search versus paid search surveys, organic searches are more likely to get clicked on than paid searches. So here is a study made by a company called First Page Sage of click-through rates by ranking position. And as you can see on the right in that image, for a keyword customer data platform, the first organic result got 39.6% of all the clicks, when the first ad on that page only got 2.1%. And in the statistics on the left side, you can see all the CTRs or click-through rates for all the different ad positions and all the organic search positions. So organic search rules in this sense, and it's considered as more authoritative. But I'm not saying that you should disregard all Google Ads. No, these two work well together. So, but just to keep in mind that organic search is considered as more authoritative from the user's perspective. And if we go to the next slide, how do we get on that first page of Google then? And these are some top 3 things you can start doing right away. So there are many factors that affect your rankings, but if I would have to give 3 tips, these would be the ones. So first of all, create high quality content. So writing content that is relevant for your user, your audience is the key here. And especially when Google is making more and more steps towards a user-first experience. For instance, their latest core update was called the Google Helpful Content Update. And what that means is that sites that were optimized for search engines first, user second, are less likely to succeed. So they will see a drop in their traffic, whereas sites that are user first, search engines second, will succeed better, and they will see an increase in traffic. And this is just the beginning. So we've seen indications that we're moving away from serving search engines, and we're going towards the user first approach. So that is something that will increase in the future as well. So tip number 1, creating high quality content. Tip number 2 is acquiring backlinks from other sites. And this has been and still is crucial for SEO. So backlinks are considered like votes of trust from one website to another. So what that means, when a website A links to website B, that gives a signal to the Google bots that there's something special on that site B, that we need to give some emphasis to that one as well. And depending on how authoritative that linking page is, for instance, if you get a backlink from like Huffington Post, that link is worth gold. But so, and if it's a new website that has just been published, it's less likely to create that same link juice, as we call it. So backlinks, they increase traffic and boost rankings. So that is very crucial for SEO. Number 3, optimizing your website. So optimizing the page experience, making sure your store is mobile friendly, improving the site's user experience, making sure that the site architecture is in place, that is easily, you can navigate it easily, and also that the page speed is fast, and that you can optimize, for instance, by compressing images. There are several factors, but that's one thing that you can do straight away, is to check whether your images are too large, because that will really slow down your website. And then on-page optimization, or on-site optimization, as we call it, optimizing headings, optimizing metadata, and images. And I linked a couple of tools here. If you don't already use Google Search Console, and I highly suggest you set an account with them. You can monitor, for instance, server errors and site load issues, and check security issues like whether you've been hacked or not, and how to fix those. That you can all do in Google Search Console. And page speed insights, you can check the speed of a certain URL, and it will give a report on the performance of that page, both on mobile and desktop, and also provide improvement suggestions. So those are my tips, and all of these are free. So Google Search Console is free, and Page Speed Insight as well. So that is also a bonus. What I'd like to say next is what kind of services we offer here at Woolman. So basically, we do everything within SEO. So whether it's technical, on page or off page, we do SEO audits, we conduct keyword research, SEO competitive analysis, we optimize pages and do copywriting, also create content strategies if needed, or link building strategies, and give SEO coaching to our clients, and of course, workshops as well. So that was SEO in a nutshell, in a really fast tempo. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Yes, please share all the questions you have. And I would like to ask Tiia a question, as you were a very successful eBay merchant in the past, and now we were talking about SEO, like in a big picture. You typically talk about Google, but eBay has very strong search engine as well. So what should you do on your listing on eBay to make sure that you're successful? And which of these tricks you can also use on your eBay listing? What would it be, your take?
This question. Well, obviously the heading is something that is really important for the eBay site itself, but keep in mind that the rest of the text is something that people are reading. So when you give information in the product text itself, don't think too much about the keywords and such. They are pretty easy to just implement there, but write the text that is actually appealing for the consumer. That's the most important part of it. In our case, we had the eBay pages separate from our actual online store. So it was kind of like two-folded thing to do all the information double. But using all the different tools, which Jenni is, for example, sharing, are really good when you are trying to check is, for example, obviously because I'm Finnish, so there was something like words that have two different ones. So checking which one is the more likely to be searched. So are people using, I don't know, what could be example? I think we had candles. So is it long candle, taser candle, or what else was there? Different options. So check those tools and see what's the right words for your audience.
Lovely. Thanks so much. Still waiting for questions. Feel free to ask if you want. I will share a few links. Lucio, please.
Hi, Sarah. I thank you for the tips, because I didn't know about the page speed insights, and so we'll definitely check it out. So forgive me for a silly question, but when you try, because we do have also a Shopify shop apart from eBay, and how does it test the mobile speed? Do you have to do it by the mobile, with, and also when what we were saying before, if we revise our website, then there is attention. You do want to show your products as well as possible, but now you are saying, well, beware that if it's too intense, also if the resolution of the image is so big that it slows down the website, then there is a tension between the two needs. What would you advise on that?
Yeah, so checking the performance on mobile, you can do that in the page speed insights. You can actually check how well your page is performing, and you will get a detailed view on how to improve the speed on mobile as well as desktop. So that is really a powerful tool, and I highly recommend it to everyone. So you can do that there. And also in terms of images, now if you, I always advise that you compress the images before you upload them, whether it's Shopify or WooCommerce or wherever. The compression itself doesn't make anything to the quality. So I use a URL called, it's a website called TinyJPEG. And that compresses the image without touching the quality. So you can have high quality pictures, but they're compressed to a smaller format. So you can instantly see when you compress the images that your site speed picks up and it becomes faster. So that's my tip. And also, I think the biggest thing when it comes to images is that GIFs are not recommended to use. It's really bad for SEO. They're super large. So if you want to use moving picture instead of GIFs, I recommend to go for a video, because the video takes less time to load, and yeah, it won't slow the website down as much as a GIF does.
Thank you very much. It's very helpful.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Jenni. Oh, Lucia, we've got another question.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a super quick one. On the note of the video, do you still recommend uploading them via YouTube, for example, to make it lighter on the website, or there is a different system?
You can embed the video on the website. It doesn't really matter how you do it. I think because we're Shopify experts, if you embed Shopify the videos to a Shopify platform, you have the option to use certain apps, but it doesn't really matter how you do it. But the key point here is that the GIF is not advised, and if you want to actually use moving pictures, use the video. And actually video is very good for the user, because you can present your products in a very visual way, and that increases the user experience. And when you increase the user experience, you increase your possibility in ranking as well. So YouTube video, YouTube linking is very good.
Thank you.
That's great, thanks. So yes, we're coming to the end of time. So I'm just going to, is it Tiia that's going to take us through the next steps?
Yeah, so you already probably saw the messages that we are looking for volunteers, and we have gotten some lovely applications for it. So Clementine and Anna, who also have been listening this meeting, are going to do the actual interviews. And what we are doing, we are trying to find, is there are like common kind of hardships that you all have, and try to like build a service around those, so that we could actually help you like the best way we can as part of the eBay for Change community. So you will be probably hearing from us on a Friday, if we choose you or not. If you still want to apply, you can send me an email. I will drop it to the chat as well, so you can still send a message for me if you want to be considered. It has been really lovely to see you all again, like after, I think, 6 months that I have been here last time. I must say that. Good luck for everyone.
Thanks so much to all the people who've been presenting, Mikko, Jenni and Tiia today. So thanks very much to everyone who's come along. We have been recording the session, so I'll send round the link so that you can watch again. I know there's a lot of the slides have a lot of information on, so it might be that you want to rewatch. And I just want to thank everybody for coming along. Have a lovely afternoon.
Thank you. Bye.